Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today's video is going to be another part of my Pastel Dragon Decoden collection that I put up in my shop not too long ago. I still have pieces left, so head over to creaturesandart.com if you want anything from this collection. There's a couple of deco pieces. You can either hang them on the wall or use them as a centerpiece, and also a Pastel Dragon art doll. So head over there if you want to check it out. So these ones are going to be the larger deco pieces that I made, and I am mounting them on just like this MDF plaque board that I've got heaps of them. I've used them previously for other types of mounts, but and I do this most of the time. I do like a fake wood grain paint on it, but this time I'm doing like a pastel gradient. So the first one you saw was the pastel purple gradient, and I'm just using some water-based acrylic paint, nothing special, and I haven't primed anything, and I only did one coat of this, nothing too spectacular, and it covered really well anyway. And then the second one is obviously the pastel pink one. The paints that I'm using, this pink one is by the brand Resin, and also the white one as well, and the purple one is from Chromacryl. So you can see they blended in really nicely together, and I just basically covered the entire little plaque thing. I didn't bother with the back because you're never going to see it anyway, especially if you put some 3M hooks on it as well. It'll just sort of peel off the paint anyway. So for the centerpiece of both these Decoden pieces, both the larger ones, I'm using this resin dragon claw, like a whole hand, that I sculpted, molded and cast a long time ago. I had heaps of these casts lying around and wanted to do a dragon piece, so I thought this would be really fitting for this collection. And basically I'm just primed the piece with like a canvas primer. I use this primer to prime everything that I paint on resin and polymer clay. I think it works really well, and it just basically gives the paint like a tooth to stick to, because resin and polymer clay can be quite smooth. And then I'm going around, and the same sort of deal as what I did with the Pastel Dragon, if you have watched that video. Just go around and do this base colouring first. They're both different. And just doing that base colouring in the pastel blue, which is a custom mixed colour, and also this pink colour, which is obviously from the bottle that you can see to the right there. And then once that's dry, I'm going to go in with a pastel purple, again a custom mixed colour, and just sort of do a dry brush over the top of both of these dragon hands, and it basically just sort of highlights all the detailing that's in the sculpture, so it'll pick up on the raised bits that you've sculpted and sort of bring out all those details, because sometimes it can go a bit flat when you're painting over sculptured details. So once everything is dry, I can start putting everything together really. So for this deco cream, I'm just experimenting with a couple of different things. I might try actually buying some deco cream next time. But I've seen this around a lot on like YouTube and like the Decoden scene, where people mix the Daiso lightweight air dried clay with a little bit of water, and it creates a nice cream, which it really does. You just got to experiment and get the ratio right, because sometimes if it's too thick, it's too hard to get out. If it's too runny, it sort of loses all of its texture. So there's a nice happy medium with the water that you mix in, and just putting it into a piping bag and piping it out with your little tip that you want to use. I'm using like this star tip that's pretty standard star tip. So I'm piping out that first layer on top of the plaque. I just covered it in a little bit of water so it had something to stick to. I found it a bit too dry for this clay to stick to, so I doubt you have I'll have this problem with deco cream, because it is quite sticky, whereas this clay is kind of dry and doesn't stick to things, but I really like the texture and the consistency of it. So I basically just laid out a bit of cream and placed the claw on top, roughly where I want it to sit, so it's a little bit more raised. And then I can go in and just fill underneath with some of that deco cream to give it a nice little platform and make sure it looks finished. I also cover the end of the claw with some more deco cream to make it more finished and more incorporated into the cream sculpt as well. So time to put all the deco pieces on this purple version, and all of these deco pieces are hand sculpted. So I sculpted them out of polymer clay. Everything that you see here I did. There's a video on my channel if you want to see me sculpting all of these pieces. I really enjoyed sculpting all of these little deco pieces and like the miniature food pieces. So I'm currently working on some more now. And yeah, definitely want to do more in the future. It's really, really fun sculpting these things. Also might buy some deco pieces, but I really like sculpting them. So just basically going around with all of the deco pieces that I've sculpted and placing ones that I think match the color scheme for this. And I tried to do sort of roughly the same thing for each deco piece. So I put a macaroon with every deco piece and like a piece of like pastry. I did the Pocky sticks for both these larger ones. The Pocky sticks were a bit of an experiment, which I think turned out really well. And yeah, I put a piece of cake with everything as well and just sort of filled it up, made it look really nice and fluffy and everything like that. And then I wanted to add a little bit more sparkling as well. So you can see I added some of that opaling, the same sort of thing that I did for the dragon heads. I added that opaling to these hands as well because I really like that sparkle. And then going ahead and just adding like these little bubble things that I have millions of to give it a little bit more shine and like a little bubbliness. And then finally going in and adding some silver rhinestones or some crystal rhinestones just to make it a little bit more shiny again. Like I wanted that little bit more of a hint of catches your eye with the shininess, and I think the rhinestones really did it. So I also added some sprinkles to everything. Sprinkles are really simple to make. You just roll out a really thin piece of polymer clay, bake it, and then chop it up. So I added some sprinkling to basically everything that I did. I even added sprinkling to the Pastel Dragon art doll, just on the horns, just to sort of tie it in a little bit more to the whole collection. And sort of the last minute thing here was my favorite piece that I sculpted was this little flower shaped cookie. I sort of added that in the front to be like a centerpiece. And once I was happy with that, I can move on to the pink one. The same sort of deal, just laying out a bed of that deco cream and then placing that claw on top and just sort of finishing it off around the side and over that end piece where the paw spout is, just to tie it in a bit better. So once I'm happy with the way the cream's sitting, I can start adding all those little deco pieces. So again, adding the same sort of thing as the other one because I wanted to tie it in, but I wanted to not have the same pieces in the same spots. So yeah, I just went ahead and placed things where I think matched and fit, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And again, finally finishing it off with those little bit of sparkly stuff, so those little bubbles and also the rhinestones. just sort of scattering them around the deco pieces. So I definitely had more fun doing this than anything I have in a long time, so I definitely want to do more. So if you're interested in any of these pieces, head over to creaturesofnat.com. Payment plans are also welcome. Just shoot me a message and I can give you some details. We'll work out a plan. Super flexible, so no issues there. I have one more little set of the Pastel deco videos to come. They're the mini ones, which were the same sort of thing, but I'll go through the process of that. Anyway, check out my Patreon if you want a little bit more, especially when it comes to my art dolls and also coupon codes, and also my watercolors. I do a free watercolor download every month. And it's really nice. I really enjoy doing something, breaking my artwork up. But anyway, here are the last little deco pieces. You can also check me out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Creatures of Nat. And again, my shop, creaturesofnat.com. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!